Welcome back. We spend so much of our time thinking, planning, and trying to get everything perfect in our heads, but eventually, you have to make a move. So today, we're going to dive into the architecture of action itself, how we can finally stop thinking and actually start doing.
Does this sound familiar? You've got these great goals, you've made the plans, but there's this huge gap between the idea and, well, reality. It's that classic analysis paralysis, right? Where you feel super productive because you're thinking so much, but if you're being honest, nothing is actually changing.
Okay, let's get right into it because a huge part of the problem is that we have this completely wrong idea of what action is even supposed to be. We've kind of bought into this big Hollywood version of what it takes to make a real change. Yeah, we've all been conditioned to believe that for an action to really count, it's got to be this massive, life-altering event, a single decision that changes everything in a flash. The kind of thing you'd see in a movie montage with dramatic music playing.
And this is exactly what I'm talking about. We think real action looks like this: quitting your job on the spot, launching some game-changing company, or making a huge, risky investment. And if we're not doing something that dramatic, we feel like we're not really doing anything at all.
But here's the secret, and it's a big one. That Hollywood version is pretty much a myth. Real, lasting progress almost never starts with some giant leap. It actually begins somewhere much quieter, with much smaller steps. And this gets to a really counterintuitive truth. The most powerful force for change isn't some grand gesture. It's the small, consistent, maybe even kind of boring action that you can just do over and over again without a ton of drama. So what does this look like in the real world? Well, it's not glamorous. It's literally just writing down one financial number you're aiming for this year, or deciding on one tiny skill to practice each week, or setting up a small automatic transfer to your savings account. These things don't make for a great movie scene, but they are absolutely real, and they create actual momentum. Now, this leads us to maybe the most powerful psychological shift in this whole idea. We have the relationship between confidence and action completely backward. Just look at this. The myth we all live by is that we have to feel confident before we can act. We wait and wait for that perfect moment of certainty. But that's a trap. The reality is the complete opposite. Action has to come first. Confidence is what follows. Let that one sink in for a second. Confidence isn't something you just have. It's something you build. It's the byproduct of trying something, seeing the result, and realizing, hey, I can handle this. And here's exactly how it works in practice. First, you just act. You take a small step, even if you feel unsure. That action gives you immediate, real-world feedback. Then you can adjust and learn from what actually happened. As you do that, the path forward starts to become clearer. And that clarity, born from experience, is what builds real earned confidence. It's this amazing upward spiral.
Okay, so this all sounds good in theory, but how do you actually start? How do you break that cycle of just thinking about it, like today? Well, the answer is beautifully and powerfully simple. What we don't need is another complicated 10-point plan. That's just more thinking, which is what got us stuck in the first place. We need to get back to doing. So what's the one thing that can bridge that gap for you right now? This, just one. The focus isn't on trying to do everything at once. It's about doing anything, specifically one single small thing. The power of a single repeatable action is where the entire foundation for real change is built. And the key phrase here is so important: without forcing yourself. This isn't about using brute force or willpower. It's about finding an action that is so small, so manageable, that it feels easier to just do it than to make an excuse not to. And this is really the core principle to walk away with. A huge, ambitious goal that you never actually start is worthless. A tiny, maybe even boring action that you do every single week, that is priceless. Consistency is what compounds over time and creates those massive results you're looking for. And that's really what it all boils down to, isn't it? Our ideas have so much potential, but that's all they are. Progress only becomes real when our thinking gets translated into a physical, repeatable behavior. So the only question left is, what's the one behavior you're going to choose to start?